Hi, my name's Hank Stelzer, and I'm the State Forestry Extension Specialist. And today I'd like to give you an update on what's happening in the woods around Wurdack. Specifically, today's topic, we're going to talk about the upcoming timber harvest that we have planned. Really, one can't reach their destination without a map, and neither can one manage, let alone harvest their woodland without a plan. So here's an overview of the Wurdack Research Center. Roughly 800 acres of the 1,200 acre farm is in timber. We're going to be talking about the planned harvest. It's going to be happening in compartment 1. That's that shaded area in the lower left. And the last time that area was harvested was back in 1996. And the way these different areas were harvested in that compartment will help tell today's story. And again, like we say, the story is going to focus on two stands, stands 1-2 and 1-4. Hopefully I'll just call them 2 and 4. 1 refers to the compartment they're in. 2 was harvested pretty heavily, and it is that light blue. Stand 4, that's up in that north-facing cove, wasn't harvested quite as heavily as the stand 2 was. So a forest management plan drives what gets done, not only where, but when. Wurdack's woodlands are broken into 5 compartments with smaller, unique stands identified within each compartment. Now, that is because we'll break that up. Just can't eat an elephant all at one time, so we're going to eat this one a bite at a time. We break these larger compartments into smaller chunks. Based upon topography, whether it's an east or a north-facing slope, a south or a west-facing slope, maybe a ridge, maybe down in the bottom. This plan was updated just last year, 2019, and we did hire a consulting forester to do that so we can accurately track our management costs and our harvesting costs as we develop economic analysis of what it takes to manage one's woods. As a result of the plan being updated and having been in management for a number of years, we are a recognized tree farm in the Missouri Tree Farm System, and that system is now a certified wood system. So that should help us down the road too, also with market access. Now we're going to talk those 2 stands. Stand 2. That was the one that we said was harvested a little bit more heavily than stand 4 back in 96. And you can see a couple of things there. We've got 513 stems per acre. And those are the stems that are larger than 2 inches, measured at 4.5 feet above the ground on the uphill side. We do that so the next forester in, they measured the same place, same way on the topography, on the lay of the land. Now you'll notice though, and we've got both of these tables or charts here, the x-axis, those are diameter classes in 2-inch diameter classes, or in some cases maybe 3. And then on the y-axis, that's the number of stems or trees per acre. Again, larger than 2 inches in diameter at breast height, 4.5 feet. The thing to note there is we've got in that stand that was harvested pretty heavily, a lot of stems. In that 2 to 4 inch class is what we were hoping. You know, you have a kind of like not bare ground, but light to the level, and you can kind of see what's happening. We get an explosion of growth. Now, a lot of that is in our understory, mixed hardwoods, some soft maple. That's our silver maple in there, and hickories. We also have a good chunk though that is in that lower part of the bar. That's our white oak. That's what we want to see. You would expect we are in the oak hickory forest type here in Missouri. 3 out of every 4 trees is going to be an oak or a hickory. So we've got all that other stuff in there. The one thing you'll notice though, we don't have a lot of trees in those larger diameter classes. We just have a few of them. So it's a lot of smaller material. Now, if you look at stand 4, we've only got 112 stems per acre. You'll notice what we see in over here, we've got a lot in those larger diameter classes, and they are the ones that are what we call our red oaks and our white oaks. We do have some cutting was done in there, but really it was now kind of an unweeded garden, and we've got a lot of understory, a lot of mixed hardwoods. I mean, just that other 25% that is a lot of species that are in our Missouri woods. So that's the tale that we tell, and you can see that graphically or pictorially if you get, well, back up, advanced regeneration. That's the rest of the story. And that is here in stand 2. Again, those are all oak seedlings, and a lot of those are a lot of white oak seedlings, some red oak in there, but a lot of white oak. These stems weren't counted because they weren't, 2 inches, obviously, but we've got a lot going on there, a lot of this advanced regeneration. In stand 4, though, it's that unweeded garden. We don't have near the white oak regeneration going on. We've got everything else. We've just got the things that have been hanging back in the woods forever. And you can see the stand wasn't quite as harvested as heavily as maybe stand 2 was. So to harvest prescriptions, that's what we're looking at here. We're going to do in stand 2, that's going to receive what we call a final shelterwood cut. Stand 4, that's going to receive a first cut. Usually shelterwood, that favors even-aged management, more of our oaks, what we like to see. We need to have sunlight to the forest floor, but we're also wanting to shelter the young trees as they come up. So these are the 2 kind of cuts we'll be doing in this compartment. Really, we have 8 steps for marketing timber. You see the one we have highlighted here. That's the one we're at right now. We're in actively advertising the sale. We've had the forester do all the legwork on the front end. We've chosen we want to have competitive bids, and we're going to have a payment and a lump sum payment. And then we've got those other pieces that after the sale is advertised and a bid is awarded. I'll mention more about this in a guide at the end of this short talk. Preparing a harvest plan, that's really important. Can't stress that enough. A good harvest plan will include a map of the area to begin with for sure, to inform all parties, the seller, the buyer, and the forester too, so they all know, they're all on the same page. They mutually agree upon log landings and skid trails, where they're going to be identified. Now, we might then, after the bid's awarded, all 3 parties will be out there again, and we'll finalize and make sure we're all still on the same page. Maybe something has changed. Maybe the logger has a better idea. And so again, where we're all agreeing to the same plan. And this compartment in particular, it's that lower, that southwest corner of the property, of the farm, and it's going to be accessed through some adjoining compartments. We're actually going to go through 2, and I think compartment 5 is that 80-acre block that sticks out and really gives us access to Bales Road. We do that because the main road into the farm is blacktop, and I don't think Brett would care for logging trucks tearing up the blacktop. Now, the forester in this advertisement that he's doing, tree tallies by diameter help the logger submit strong bids. So that top table, that is the diameter in inches across the top, and then the different species. So those are the actual tree numbers, and it kind of shows, is he talking large timber? Is he talking small timber? That gives a logger a lot to go on top of his visual inspection that he'll make when he's preparing his bid. That lower table, that is the same format, except now instead of the number of trees, we're actually looking at what the estimated merchantable volume is that's out there, and it's estimated. We don't know the final volume until the tree is harvested, the logs are taken to the mill and processed. But again, this kind of gives an idea, not only now size, but also maybe how high up the tree that merchantable log goes. That will all be determined. Buyers, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, that bid is in the eye of the buyer, as far as, one guy can go up to the tree and say, that's a good tree, and the other one can say, I'm not going to give you as much for it. That's the whole point of the bidding process. Also, the forester is going to provide us some additional information here based upon the evaluation of the timber. So he's going in and said, well, I've got so many, saw logs, grade trees. I've got so many stave trees. I've got so many possible veneered trees. And then he'll look at the current market prices and give us his estimate, kind of a range, and then what he believes what the sale will bring. I've redacted those numbers because, again, this is an active sale and we don't want to tip our hand. This is the information we have. I tell livestock producers that have timber and don't go through a planning process or a bidding process, so you don't take your steers and heifers to the sale barn without knowing a whole lot of information. So why sell your trees without having that information? It just gives you a stronger hand. You get these, the forester can get this, gets this information. You can get this information too. The Department of Conservation produces a timber price trend report. It's a quarterly stumpage price of what the landowner is getting. You can just Google that. There's the link shown, but you can Google it and you just say Missouri timber price trends and it'll come up. Got to put Missouri in front of that though, because otherwise you could end up getting Texas or Virginia or Maryland. So, but these come out quarterly. It's online now. They used to have a PDF version, the print version you could get, but now it comes out in this format here. And I'm going to highlight in the South. They break it up in the North and the South. Won't get into all the details there of the different log scales. That's another talk. But I wanted to highlight here what we're looking at for possible Wurdack, what he based his numbers off of. And in particular, we were looking at the white oak stave because we did have quite a bit of white oak stave in these stands in compartment 1. You'll notice they have a maximum price and a minimum price and an average. And you go, why isn't it 700 if somewhere between the max and the min? And that all is driven by the number of sales that have been done in that quarter. And so that's what's driving that. So with only 3 sales, I'm kind of squishy on that one. But we also have stave sales that are in the north part of the state. And I think this last quarter, it says there was like 22 of them. So we have few cooperages here, manufacturers, barrels in the state. They all kind of go to drive the same thing. So probably can look at both of those. But anyway, this just gives you an estimate. It doesn't say you're going to get $800, 1,000 board feet. That's what that number means on the sale. So here's what it looks like. Here's stand 4. It's marked for the trees to reduce the density of the main canopy and allow for advanced regeneration. Remember, this is a stand that didn't have a whole lot going on, or if it did, it wasn't white oak. So that tree in the center that's not marked, that's going to be our residual tree. It's probably got a good canopy and it'll be a good mass producer of acorns. So not only are we going to get our advanced regeneration, but we're going to get the deer in there for deer and turkey. Those trees that are marked with a blue dot, you notice there's 2 dots and those are the trees to come out. Those are the trees with 2 dots and they're usually marked at diameter breast height and they're also marked at the base. And that is because if we would come back in and we see our residual tree, we see a stump and no blue dot, then that means that was erroneously cut and the logger is going to have to pay us, usually in contracts, it's 3 times the value of that tree. Doesn't help us with advanced regeneration, but it gives us something at least. But that's how we mark the trees. We also mark those trees that are marked. They're going to be marked on 2 sides because depending upon how the logger is moving through the stand, they might not see them if they're only on 1 side, particularly when mechanized equipment is becoming more prevalent in the Ozarks and you're operating from a cab. It just makes easier on a cab driver. And so you can actually see, they can see what they're doing. Stand 2, so here we've got the remaining canopy trees. They're going to be harvested to allow this advanced regeneration you just see kind of going on over here on the left to become the next forest. And again, you have the 2 blue dots. You notice that tree that's leaning though, that's got an X on it. That's one that the logger probably, there's no value to it. It's what we call a cull, but we do want it out because it still has a live canopy and it's robbing sunlight for these young trees. So we ask the logger to do that so we don't have to do it, safety reasons, and also we don't have to expense the forester, a consulting forester, to come back in and do that for us. We do leave den trees though. We don't take everything. We'll leave, anywhere from 2 to 5 den trees maybe per acre. These trees are usually dead. They're cavities, support cavity nesting wildlife. So again, with no canopy to them, they're not robbing any sunlight, and they are providing necessary homes for the wildlife of Wurdack. In closing, let me just point out again a couple of those helpful guides. Excuse me. Selling timber, G5051, that's what the landowner needs to know. Takes you through the 8 steps of selling, marketing your timber. It's not to make you a professional, it's to make you aware of the processes involved, the steps involved. So that's one. The other one, excuse me, is the basic elements of a timber sale contract. Contracts are becoming much more prevalent in the state, and it's good because it protects the buyer and the seller. But in there, we give the different elements that could potentially be in a contract, and also an explanation of what those different articles are. 2 other helpful guides, excuse me, managing your timber sale tax, helping you reduce your tax liability, and as well determining a timber cost basis, which can not only help on your capital gains, but also if you do have a casualty loss, you're going to need to have some kind of a basis established. Otherwise, you will not be able to claim that loss if a tornado or a windstorm would come through and take out your timber before it's harvested. Well, with that, we're at the end. Again, here's my contact information. I'm here in Columbia, 2nd floor of 203 Abner, the Anheuser-Busch Natural Resources Building. My phone number is 573-882-4444. Email is just my last name, Stelzer H, first initial, STELZERH, at Missouri, and you got to spell it out, .edu. As I sign off here from the virtual Wurdack Woods, I hope you all have a really great day seeing the other presentations, and looking forward to learn a little bit myself. So with that, we will call it a day.